There we go. Pardon my voice. Came down with a little bit of a cold midweek. Been battling it this later this week and this weekend. Hey, it is the time of year. Kids are back in school. Things are getting going. You know what? Fluid up. Drink lots of water. Try to get as much sleep as I can, which has been tough this last week. But we push through, right? We move on. We keep going, and you forget about colds and whatnot when you're setting hooks. So keep rocking and rolling. Here we go. We've had a very productive week. We are all over the place. We had some very nice weather this week, very comfortable weather. And then it got a little weird later on in the week. We had some rain. Yesterday, Saturday morning, we actually had some pretty loud thunder, a tad bit of lightning, some solid rain at times. Friday was supposed to be a washout. Hey, I'll tell you what, it barely rained on Friday. It was actually beautiful. Low winds, overcast, caught a bunch of fish. Very productive week, like I said. We're starting to see that transition into late summer, early fall patterns. And for me, that transition generally means shallower water patterns, right? So we're still finding some fish on weed lines, some deeper schools, that kind of stuff. But myself, I'm moving shallower. I am either throwing a moving bait, I am flipping heavier cover, I'm trying to find still standing weeds, and I'm targeting some of those areas, specifically bass. We're talking bass fishing here. I did not do a lot of crappie fishing this last week. I know last weekend I hit you with that drop shot bite for crappies. That continues to work. You can still hammer down on crappies in that regard. I'm still seeing those fish schooled up on the weed lines, off some of the main lake expansive deep points, that kind of stuff. They're still kind of doing their thing. It can still be productive. Water temps did stall out this whole week in the low 70s for highs. So we're not seeing an abrupt temperature drop. In fact, I would say most of this week, it was a little warmer than it was the week prior. I didn't wake up as much with 40s. I woke up a handful of days, especially the last few days, in the 60s. We started the morning in the 60s, where we started the morning early in the week and later last week in the 40s with sweatpants. We talked about bibs and sweatshirts and all that stuff. You know, some of that still existed, but it warmed up a lot more. I mean, yesterday on Saturday, it got sunny, it got warm, it got hot. Mid to late September, we're finding some warm conditions still. We're wearing the UPF shirts and doing that kind of stuff. So we did find some consistent, stable patterns. So we'll rewind a bit here earlier in the week. Continue to chase that fish that was starting to migrate into that shallower weed type stuff. I fished a tournament on Wednesday and really thought it would be more of I thought maybe we'd get some fish on docks, on frogs, or maybe out on the rocks, that kind of stuff. We found all of our fish in 4 to 8 feet. We found all of our fish moving, meaning moving baits. We were throwing chatterbaits, swim baits, swim jigs, all that kind of stuff, and we caught a lot of fish. We deviated from that pattern and tried some other stuff and came right back to it. So what I found late last week, which we talked about in last week's report, as well as this week, was that chatterbait, that swim jig, that swim bait was king. That caught a lot of fish again for us this week in that 4 to 8 feet of water. Now, not all lakes are relative. What we noticed that worked the best, that pattern worked the best when the water was not super clean. So we're fishing more dirty water situations for that moving chatterbait bladed jig pattern to be really, really good this last week. The cleaner water, we found ourselves flipping, getting more into thicker cover, skipping docks, that kind of stuff this week. So the dirtier water, so if the lake you're fishing right now is dirty or stained, whatever, maybe turn to the chatterbait, find some of those spots where it's 4 to 8 feet, not heavy, thick weeds. You still want to kind of pop through weeds once in a while on your retrieve, and that was really effective, very effective for us this week. In fact, it helped us win a tournament, helped us get some really big bites, it helped us get numbers of fish, and all that sort of stuff. So that was good. I'm not going to beat a dead horse with a chatterbait. We all know about that. It's catching fish. It's awesome. One of the bass fishing cheat codes, chatterbait, Ned rig, Senko wacky rig under a dock, right? We have these cheat codes that just generally get bit. So that's one of them. Good time you to chase fish with a chatterbait, get after it, and go chase some fish. And how we found that pattern, honestly, was kind of cool. We were just honestly attempting to fish some docks and fish some pads and some duckweed in between the docks and just try to get a couple big bites. And that's what we were doing. And I just took a chatterbait, turned this direction, docks are here, partner behind me fishing the docks and doing his thing. I just kind of threw in front of the boat and started just working that chatterbait slow, where I caught a handful of fish and then realized this is where they are. And then we kind of honed in on that being our specific focus and we really started to catch them, and it was a lot of fun. And we're using 3/8 ounce or half ounce chatterbaits. I'm using the jackhammer. Everyone's asking me about that, but Matt, they're 16, 17 bucks. I get it. I have no ties to Z-Man. It just flat out works. I've used all the various chatterbaits, and that jackhammer continues to outproduce everything else. And we use the standard jackhammer this week probably the most to catch largemouth. The Mini Max has been our smallmouth killer, and I plan to put that to use this week. We're going to chase some smallmouth. But that standard jackhammer, half ounce, 3/8 ounce, has been really good. We've been using the pattern that looks kind of like a bull bluegill or perch. We've been using the height special, which is kind of your green pumpkin white with some chartreuse. We were using green pumpkin. We were using black and blue. All that worked. Fire craw has been working on some lakes. That would probably be more of my fall presentation, but it's a good one. And then for the Mini Max, honestly, same color pattern. Just everything's a little more compact, smaller tail, that sort of stuff. Okay, moving on to flipping. I wanted to really jump into flipping and talk about how we're flipping, how we're punching, how we're fishing these jigs. We had an all-terrain get-together on Friday, and that was what we caught all of our fish on. I got that 577, a real big one, flipping. And there's a variety of ways to flip. One is, obviously, we've showed you in past videos where we use a heavy tungsten weight. I got my rubber bobber stop. I got my flipping hook, whatever it might be, whether it's a VMC flipping hook, a Trocar, and then you're using your favorite plastic flipping bait, whether it's a Mr. Twister flipping out, whether it's a craw tube, whatever it might be. So you have a plastics hook, punch weight combination. We've showed you that. But I wanted to really jump into the jig side of things. Flipping a jig, it's very effective. It's very versatile. You can pitch it, you can swim it, and there's two variations that I'm using on a regular basis. I'm using either the Rattling AT jig from All Terrain, or I'm using the Grassmaster from All Terrain. And I'm going to show you these right there. I don't know if you can see them up close, but there's two different heads, two different hook types, two different tie eyes, two different angles of those tie eyes. And I'm going to talk to you about the difference. So you got the Rattling AT, right? So you got that bend. You can see there, that tie eye comes out and bends up. So you're going to fish this in a variety of different ways. This is probably a more versatile jig, and you can fish this, or you can get this in a pretty heavy action. You can get a 3/4 ounce. You can get this AT jig. It's got a rattle, so you can flip this into cover. You can swim it back. It's great for skipping and pitching docks. So if you're going to be flipping around, let's say docky areas, that kind of stuff, pencil reeds, something we might actually make more of a cast than just a pitch, that Rattling AT works really, really well. So this is probably the most versatile jig in your lineup. That's going to be the Rattling AT jig, and it catches a pile of fish. And the two tails I'm using myself is I'm either using a Mr. Twister pocket craw, or I'm using a Mr. Twister buzz bug. The buzz bug's going to have a little different, thinner profile, more of a retrieve bait. If I want to work it back to the boat a little more, I might pitch and retrieve, hop it, swim it back to the boat, skip it. I tend to fish that buzz bug longer, more slender, rigged on the same way, threaded on, hold it on there. You can take a little bit off the tip if you want to butt it up there a little higher on the bait. But the buzz bug is one of my flipping pitching baits. Then the medium or beefier one is going to be your pocket craw. It's got the larger flappers. It's going to slow things down just a hair, give it a little more profile. I'm rigging that on in the exact same manner, so I have more of a flipping bait. So this is going to be a more pitch to specific spots, work the bait, reel up, do it again. Maybe small cast, maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 yards away. That's where I'm fishing that pocket craw versus the buzz bug. And I'll show you again, buzz bug, pocket craw. You can see the difference, more compact, a little wider profile. This is more of a speed type bait. The buzz bug, you can kind of slowly reel back. These tails are gonna go back there, where this is just gonna kind of be more of a spot specific presentation. So those are the two trailers I'm using. And when it comes to using the Grassmaster, you can see on this one, tie eye right on the top, straight up, just like a flipping hook, just like you would when you're flipping, right? And it's got more of a bullet shaped head. Now this is one of the smaller, lighter ones. I got one rigged up on my rod I was just flipping with, and you can see here, this is a beefier 1 ounce head, heavier, big bulbous, but you can see that tie goes straight on the top. It's designed to punch. It's designed to go straight down through that cover. And there you go, I'm fishing that Mr. Twister pocket craw in there, and I'm punching with this. I'm flipping, and I'm covering water, and I'm pitching and I'm working and I'm pitching and I'm working and I'm flipping and I'm working. I'm doing that kind of stuff with this situation, and I'm fishing a 40 or 50 pound braid. I got a 17 pound fluorocarbon leader on this, and away I go. And there's your punch and your flipping bait. That's the Grassmaster. So that there's really two variations, like I said, two that I put my faith in when I'm working a jig in that situation, which is going to be what you can use here. I would say the next month you're going to be using this style of approach, the RLVNT, the Grassmaster, whether you're flipping, whether you're pitching and punching, whether you're casting and retrieving, whether you want to add a swim to it, whether you're skipping dock. These are the two options that I'm going to lean towards heavily the next month. In fact, this is what caught a lot of fish the last few days for us when we've been targeting some of those offshore expansive weed flats, matted up dock lines, all that kind of stuff. Now what we're going to see here excuse me, in the coming weeks is the weeds start to lay down. You're going to start seeing docks pulled from shores, right? You're going to start seeing landowners pull their docks. In fact, we're already seeing it. Docks are going to start to get moved. Weeds are going to start to get flat. You're going to be able to fish through it. You're going to be able to really effectively throw a chatterbait, really effectively throw a spinnerbait, really effectively throw a lipless crank or a shallow diving crankbait. All of these situations are going to really get bit over the coming weeks. Looks like we're going to get some cold weather this week. It looks like we're going to get some nights in the 40s, highs in the 60s. It's going to feel good. We are due for it. I'll be honest. We're going to start to see some of that. Water conditions are low. We need some more rain. Whether it's on Minnetonka, whether it's on Waconia, whether it's on Chisago, all these lakes I've been fishing, you can visually see on the banks and in some of the weeds, water conditions are down. That is what it is. We can't control it. So get out there and chase down some fish. But we're going to see a change here in the next few weeks. It's going to happen. It's going to be, in my opinion, a fun change because I want to beat the bank. I want to cover water. I want to work moving baits. I love fishing that way. I did have some questions on the rods we're fishing for flipping. So I did grab one of my favorite flipping rods. I had this built by Lonnie and his team at Thorne Brothers. This is just going to be your heavy action. It's a medium fast or heavy power medium fast action rod. It's a Predator blank. I'm using a 150 or 200 series Shimano reel on there. This happens to be a Chronarch, small profile, super powerful, fits in my hand. I'm working a lot. I did go with not as long of a handle. I don't like it hitting myself when I'm flipping and working a bait. And I did invest in the titanium guide set. And I do that because it's a wand, right? I'm always working it. It's fatiguing your hands and arms when you're fishing and flipping and casting and flipping and pitching and flipping and casting and flipping, right? So I want to put those lightweight guide train on this rod. So that's a Predator blank, heavy action. If you call Lonnie, call Mike Rolick, you call someone up there in the rod shop and ask them about building the ideal flipping rod. In my opinion, this is it. This is the way to go. This is the way to make it happen. And it's a very, very productive and fun rod to fish. So that's my setup. That's how I'm doing it. I plan to continue down that path. I'm going to chase some brown bass this week. I'm going to chase some smallmouth later this week. Not exactly sure how I'm going to catch them yet. Hopefully moving baits. I have some hair tied up. I have some drop shot tied up. I have some Ned rigs tied up. I have some light swim baits tied up. We'll see. I'll report back in a week on how I caught those smallmouth. Hopefully how I caught those smallmouth. And I'll be chasing some green bass as well. So looking forward to another fun week ahead. Continue to chase down these late summer, early fall patterns. It's been very comfortable out to go fishing. I'm still bringing a lot of ice, a lot of Gatorades and waters in the boat. It's the name of the game. I'm still wearing my sun shirts. I did wear my Blackfish soft shell Gale pullover a few days this week to start things off in the morning. And I anticipate this next week, that soft shell stuff getting a workout as well. So hopefully you're enjoying the first couple weeks of school for the kids back in school. Hopefully you're enjoying football season back in the swing of things. Vikes got the win last week against the Packers. Sorry, Packers fans, but it was our time. And tomorrow night, Vikes play the Eagles. We'll see what happens. I'm excited. Got to watch some football for my boys to get things started. Hopefully catch the second half of the game and see how things go. So, name of the game this week: moving baits, punching, flipping jigs, the sweet trailers. Go out there, chase some fish, set some hook, have some fun, and don't get discouraged, because I did. Don't get discouraged. If it happens to be a giant sheephead, when you think it's a big bass, it'll get you every time. So have fun this week. Go out there, catch some fish. We'll catch you next time.